So Cafeteria Uprising is getting here pretty quick. I hope it's fine. I put some things in it that were kind of against their printing guidelines, which could fuck up the whole print process and cut off the letters and the numbers, but they said it would be like a millimeter, but even that would totally just wreck it tremendously because they're right on the edge, and I'm just there like, oh, well, can't you tell me how good they're doing? And she's like, her name was, I think, Christy Highland or something. I talk to her all the time because I talk to the people on GameCrafter all the time. So I asked, did it turn out okay? And she's like, well, you can review it when you get it upon looking at the receipt, which is, getting the game. And I'm just on hooks about this because I don't know how to explain what I feel about this right now. I really want this game to work because it's so awesome. But she said it was like outside the safety zone, which with my previous games they never were, but this kind of had to be able to fit. So I just was like, they can't cut this. But I don't know, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna be kind of pissed, but I won't be all that mad. I'll just be like, fuck. Then I need to spend like another $100 to fix it to get another copy because the game rocks. I don't know if I've taken the time to explain the game, but there are 4 types. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 types of chits. Team A and Team B, the teachers, the food, and of course the keys. I guess I better explain the game from the beginning, even though I want to go into the keys because that's a fascinating element in and of itself, I think. So what it is you draw a chit from the bag, and the chit from the bag has to match your team. Now I'm thinking about it, and I gotta shave now that I see myself. Anyway, you have an A or a B team, and then you have a teacher chit, and then you have the food chit, and then you have the keys. So you draw a chit from the bag and you place it on the board, and that can move. I've never seen a game like this before. So it's a little like Go, and it's a little like chess, but it's a little like those war games from the 1980s, like Memoir 44. That might be a newer one, though. I don't know. I always go with Advanced Squad Leader because I own that, but there's a ton of those games where it's like a little hexagons everywhere across a landmass, and then you put your shit on it. But there's very little actual moving because you can shoot with guns. And mine's a little like that. Instead of guns, it's food because it's a food fight. Cafeteria Uprising, you get it? So it's like a rebellion in a food court. And if you're Team A and you draw a Team B, you put it back and vice versa. They're blue and they're pink. Just because myself and my artist thought that looked good. I designed the chits, and she designed the box. I think that's all she did for this one. Anyway, so you draw and place. Draw, place, move, hit. That's the mechanic that I guess invented. It was move, place, or draw, place, move, hit. I've had variations on it too that I'll talk about later for a deconversion, the atheist game, but it's fun too. So, you know about the student. The teacher is you put down one, and they've got a line of sight everywhere around, so you got to be kind of careful where you put it. And any team can move that in a way. Like if you see that you're going to get hit, you might want to move yours there, and you'd be like, oh, fuck you. So you got to go move around to try and hit somebody else or that same person. The food is basically your bullet. You mind the rules of the chit. The chit is power, toughness, strength, and value. And value is also your movement area. From your position of view, if you've got a movement of 1, you can move 1 in any direction, including all the diagonals. It's an area, not just lines like in chess. But it's definitely got a chess-like appeal to it. If you got a 2 from you in left and right, up and down in every diagonal. So it's an area. You know what an area is. Not a perimeter, not just a length, an area. So you put that down and then you can move. You can only attack when you got food, and the food is added to your personal value on all the other ones, attributes, not value, because value is one of the attributes. But your PTSV is added to the PTSV of the food that you get, and then you can nail another student with the food. It's a throwing game. You're not actually, it's virtual throwing. You're not actually picking up the chit and throwing it at them, of course. You're just sitting on the chit and it says, oh, this doubles everything, so you got one of these, so you got a bullet or a bowl of soup or something. You can make that hit from that distance. You may even want to like whip out some dental floss to see if that distance is fine, but you can probably count with your finger. And the attack is an area as well, much like the movement. It's called an activity field, which encompasses both an attack field and a movement field. But they're different. They're different per the letter. So the teacher blocks it off. You know, like if you got a 5 and the teacher's a total of 5, it cuts your power down to 0, so you can't move there. You gotta take your turn and maybe move that teacher away, or move away from the teacher. Whatever you really want to do. It's strategy. The strength is your throw strength. Your power has to be bigger than their toughness. And then your value also is how much lunch money you get from them. You start with 50 green wooden coins, and then you add on to that once you go up in value and or up an attribute. It's so confusing at that point, but it's only for me because you'll get used to saying attribute quicker than I do, because I started out saying value, but one of the attributes is value. So it's a little like Advanced Squad Leader, it's a little like chess, and it's a little like Go, because you're drawing and placing, you're moving, and it's a warfare game. It's also a little bit like Scrabble, because you're taking a chit and placing it on the board. If you draw food, you have to pay for it. It doesn't matter. If you don't have enough money, then you can't place that food. And you can't redraw. I am very specific about this because it monkeys up the entire game. There are no redraws allowed in this game, unlike chess, Scrabble or Carcassonne. I try to say Scrabble and Carcassonne at the same time. But I don't think you can redraw in Carcassonne. That's just sort of a house rule that I've used, or well, people that have played me, and I've been okay with it because it doesn't fuck it up too much. But really, you shouldn't be able to redraw in Carcassonne at all, or Scrabble. Really, I don't like that whole thing. But Scrabble makes more sense because it's a little more difficult to form words than it is to form territories. So I just made it like this: no redraw. You're only working one chit at a time. You can't move on the draw. If you draw in place, you can't move. So that's... Oh, the keys. When you go to the rooms, you have to have a key. If you get the key, you put it in the room, you leave it in that section of the board, and you roll a die a couple times. First one is to see which one of your attributes changes, except for V. And then you roll two to see value change. But that only happens in the room, which basically means if you roll a 12, you can hit anywhere on the board from that location. It's a good power to have, but if you don't leave the room, then you can't attack others, I suppose. Because you can't arc around walls and whatnot. The other person could have to... I don't know, I didn't really think about that. It's kind of interesting, because if you roll a 12, you got to stay in your room, but at the same time, you're very enticing, because your value goes up, because I said so, and people can go and attack you in that room. And and then you're worth 12. Just because you see, that's the thing, is like you might have a value of 12, and your movement can go to 12. I think that's all. I think that's what it was. It was 6 on all the first 3 you can do, but you can do 12 for your value, which means you can move 12. You can move anywhere. See, I thought I fucked it up. I guess I was smart. You can move 12 in that area, which means you can move anywhere on the board from that. But you're also, your power might be at 6, and you might like that because normally your power is at 2. Well, you know, it's your choice whether to stay in the room or not. It's a gamble. That's the whole thing. You roll the dice and see what it does. Then you leave and it doesn't apply anymore. Then you have to re-roll to get in there. To assign your attributes, I mean. So I think that's everything. It seems complex, but as you can see, I have it memorized, so it's not too complex, and still I fuck up and say value instead of attribute. I gotta work on that. Hopefully the more I play it with people, the better it'll be for me. And I don't mind teaching anybody in Spokane how to play this game, as long as, you know, they come and hang out with me and we play this game. I can teach you how to play. I'm not going to teach you how to lose. I'm going to try and teach you how to win, because I can take losing. Because the point is to teach the game, not to win or lose, unless you want to play for real. Then it's probably evenly matched. I'm really bad at these sorts of games. I just like designing them because I know so many people are good at them and like them. Like Meeple Toss? Fuck that. I'm horrible at that game. And I don't like how random it is, but everybody that plays it loves it. I know how to design games. It's just playing them is kind of sucky for me. I'm about medium.